Hi, I'm Kelly Jo Scott. I'm the December Year of You winner for the Biggest Loser Resort at Fitness Ridge in Malibu. From week one to now, it's like a completely different experience. I feel like I'm a completely different person in just a couple of weeks than I was a little while ago. Oh my goodness. The first few days that I was here were really painful because I did not prepare my muscles at all, and so they tightened up and it was really hard to walk, and I struggled through that a little bit. But I saw Dr. Ray. That changed things. If you've ever heard of Dr. Ray or seen Dr. Ray, you know that he is a miracle worker and has healing hands of some kind, and so he fixed me right up. I've been great ever since, and he's helped me continue to progress and get better, and it's been incredible. So after I got my body kind of used to what we were doing and I started working through that, I was able to push myself harder than I ever thought I could, and I got to know the trainers and they got to know me and my story a little bit, and they were a huge part of making sure that I was doing the best that I could. You know, even if there was something that I couldn't do the way they were asking me to, they gave me modifications and they gave me things that I could do so that I was still getting the best workout for me. I did a hike on Wednesday of my first week, and it was one of the beginner hikes, and it killed me. It was so hard. I was out of breath. I was sweating profusely and disgustingly. I thought that it was like the worst thing that I'd ever done. And then the following Monday, I did that same hike for my assessment hike where they gauge what level you are, and I barely even broke a sweat. I went higher, farther, faster than I did just like 4 days before. They bumped me up in hike vans and bumped me up in my experience level. So that was kind of amazing, and that was a true testament to how much I'd already grown in 4 days physically, how much I'd already done and how far I'd already come. It just kind of blows my mind that I did the exact same hike so soon and saw such a dramatic difference. Then my second week I struggled a little bit emotionally. I was missing home, and I was kind of struggling personally and counting down the days until I could get home, because I was like, this is so hard, it's so tricky, and I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I'm strong enough. And so I just kind of had a little emotional time. Then that week I got assigned to hike Solstice, which is one of the harder hikes. It's technically intermediate level, but for me, going from like no hike experience whatsoever up to intermediate level, even maybe upper intermediate level, was intense. And I had heard all these stories about Solstice, about how people break down and just stop in the middle of it and just burst into tears because it'll break you. It's a hard hike. It's a really hard hike. So I was assigned that, and I had heard so many horror stories about it that I just instantly was like overcome with fear. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. This is going to be my breaking point. I'm going to stop and I'm going to have a breakdown right there on that trail. I just know it. But we went on that hike, and I don't know what came over me. I put my head down and I didn't focus on how long it was going to take me to get to the top. I just focused on one step after the other, and I just focused on keeping a steady pace and doing everything that the hike guides tell you to do, which is, you know, just set a good rhythm and you'll get there. And that's what I did. I kept breathing, I kept moving, and before I knew it, I was at the top of the mountain of Solstice. I didn't stop once. I didn't take a rest once. I looked back on the trail that I had just come up, and I have no idea how I did it. I didn't break down, I broke through. And that's the difference. I found that I have no limit. If I put my mind to it, my body can do whatever I tell it to do. My body is capable of doing far more than I ever thought possible. And I kind of found myself that day. It made me fall in love with this place. All this time I'd heard all these stories of people who'd come here and left and said, you're gonna love it, it's gonna be amazing, you're gonna miss it when you leave, and you're gonna be so sad to go. And you know, the first week and a half I was like, you know, I enjoy it, but I'll be fine letting it go. And after that Friday, I understood exactly what they meant. Ever since then, it's just been constant growth. Each day I've been able to push myself harder. The next day I did a hike where I voluntarily went up a steeper hill, even though I didn't have to. I could have taken like a 5-minute rest. So the fact that I voluntarily chose to do that is showing a huge change in myself. I wanted to do it. You know, I wanted to push myself harder. I wanted to see how far I could take myself. It felt amazing. You wouldn't think that if you're sitting there on your couch eating comfort food. You don't think that you would ever be the kind of person who would want to push yourself physically to that extreme, to push yourself until you have nothing left. You've given all your energy. That is exactly the person that I am.